Hey there, John Lumber here with LRA Insurance. Um, Glad you guys are tuning in. I'm fortunate, happy, lucky that I'm getting the opportunity today to introduce a whole bunch of really awesome professionals in our group here. This is the core networking group. We meet on a weekly basis to collaborate with one another on various different business topics. So we thought we would do a little recording and share some of these topics with you. So I'm going to go around. I'll be kind of the interviewer, and I'll go around and ask everybody a number of questions. We're going to do our best to be as brief as possible, but hopefully you find this insightful. So that being said, this kind of stemmed, we were all getting a whole bunch of questions. We're all in different industries, so we were getting a whole bunch of different questions pertaining to our specific industries. So one thing that I was getting a lot of being in the insurance world is clients come calling me that own businesses, and they're saying, hey, what happens if I can't make my monthly payment or my quarterly payment or whatever? My answer to that is call your agent, call your insurance company. Right now, with everything going on, they're not going to leave you out to dry. People are going to work with you and come up with a plan. So just reach out and ask, and you will get some information. So with that, we're going to dive right into it. I'm happy to introduce ask our first question to Darren Kohler with Convergent. Darren, how are you? Darren?
Audio check.
Yes, sir.
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Good. Hey, so one of the things that we're obviously with social distancing world that we're in, I wanted to ask you, how do you overcome or how do you intend on overcoming with people kind of hesitating to allow you to come into their office for an installation or something like that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I'm glad you asked that one, actually. A lot of people don't realize it's not very frequently that a company has their cabling redone or major cabling projects on their facilities. And one thing that people don't realize is we actually usually come in after hours anyway. You don't want us in there doing our work while your employees are in there working. We're gutting a lot of the infrastructure up in the ceilings that you don't even see and behind the walls. And so this might actually be a perfect time for you as a company to have us come and do our work and, you know, have this cabling done for you so that when you come back into the office, your data infrastructure and your telecommunications infrastructure is ready to go.
Mute myself. Thanks, Darren. That's good info. So next question we've got here is for Alan Anderson. Alan is the owner of All Direct CFL, and kind of sticking on the remote working topic. Alan, with so many companies working remotely, how are they handling their copying and printing services right now?
Well, that's a good question as well, John. And what they're doing is they're moving more to small multifunctional devices or printers in their home. For a lot of the folks that are working out of home, if there's major jobs, there's usually a couple of people that are designated to be in the office. And so they'll go in and do the major print jobs in-house. As you know, the traffic to and fro from the offices has gone down quite a bit. So it's only key people that are doing the big jobs. Right. But overall, that's how they're handling it.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thank you, Alan. And good to see you. Sticking on the Alan train, we're going to next talk to Alan Migliorado, the owner of Sinosaurus. Alan, we know that some businesses, unfortunately, are having a little bit of a slower time right now. Do you see them taking an opportunity or taking this time to kind of enhance their curb appeal or any other of their image with this?
John, unlike the previous two interviews, I don't like my question. Can you come up with another one on the spot? I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, John. No, so it really is. That's an important question to answer. And there's different times for businesses to advertise, and the scariest time of all is when there's no money coming in for a business. But I think it's the most important time to have a little faith in what you've done in the past and know that it's going to repeat in the future. When times are slow, you always get better rates on advertising. And so there's a great time to take advantage of these specials. I know we're running a bunch of specials at Sinusaurus for customers who are having a tough time right now, but advertising when it's slow puts your name out there for people to notice and to say, okay, well, you know, they're doing what they can to help stimulate the economy. I'm going to help that business grow as well. So this is a great time to advertise.
Yeah, awesome. Well said. Appreciate that, Alan. All right, so next, Pete Webb. Mr. Pete Webb is with Commercial Works. And Pete, I know that you work a lot in the school systems and in the hospitality world. And just curious, both of those obviously have had an impact with what's going on. So are those companies still looking to make improvements or, you know, on their furniture or any moving types?
Absolutely. If you think of the hospitality that we provide installation services for, warehousing and things like that, obviously now's the time. There's less guests in these hotel rooms.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect time to complete any renovations, do anything, repairs and things of that nature that they would normally, that they'd like to do, but they can't do because guests are in the room. So it's a perfect time for the hospitality world. We also have provided several of our customers with lists of services that we can provide for them. And such as, they've got staff that are on furlough or, staff that might be remote and they don't have them on site. So we're providing additional services for them and even sent them a list of services so that they would know what else we could help with. We always tell our customers if they are not sure, please call and ask us. We'll be glad to, try to provide a service for them to help them out. On the schools, with schools being out for the year, the construction that they normally do during the summer, where it's a very time crunch, we're usually taking stuff in the last day before teachers get there. They're taking advantage of that as well. They're moving those schedules up. So we've been allowed to move up the schedule so that it's not as intense as it normally is, and it's helping them out. We're providing boxes for teachers to take stuff home, things of that nature. So we're also providing storage for contents and things that need to come off site and helping them any way that we can.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you, Pete. All right. Next, we are going to speak with Jacob Romig. Jacob is with Enterprise Fleet Management. And Jacob, the question we have for you is, fleet management is a pretty significant expense, or can be for some businesses, depending on the size of their fleet. Are you still seeing businesses willing to invest in something as important as what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So there are a lot of companies that in certain industries haven't been as affected, such as roofing companies, landscape, HVAC, etc. And for them, much like individually, for those that are able to invest in the stock market, now is a really good time for them to invest in their fleet because the cost of vehicles are low. We're in a low interest rate environment, and that allows them to replace some of the vehicles or add vehicles for growth at a much lower cost relative to what it would have been just a few months ago. For any company looking to save money, it's also an opportunity for us to dig into their operating expenses, such as their maintenance, to find savings. So regardless of their position, if you're in a good position or if they're in a tough position right now, it's a good time for somebody to provide a second set of eyes to help them reduce their expenses.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Thank you, Jacob. All right, next we've got Tom Nestor. Tom Nestor is with eXp Realty. And unlike the last crisis we went through, this one isn't necessarily a housing market issue, which is a good thing for Tom being in the real estate world, but still obviously has some effects on him. So Tom, how long do you think it'll be until you're doing a traditional, hey, let's hook up on a Saturday and go look at a bunch of houses?
Well, there are people that are looking at houses now, and it's really up to the individual consumer and the agent what they're comfortable with. Some people are more comfortable going to see houses, and some people are not as comfortable. So things are different, though. There's, not multiple people in a house, and if the house is occupied, it's generally getting less traffic. So houses that are vacant, people feel more comfortable going into to see. And so really it's up to the individual consumer. But I think it really depends, if the stay-at-home order is lifted, at the end of this month and what the reports are. I think if there'll be a gradual, when the coronavirus dies down, people will feel more comfortable going into other people's houses.
Right. Well, good to know. And it's nice that people are still doing it. So, all right. Next here, we've got a question for Mr. Tim Taylor. Tim Taylor is the owner of TaylorWorks, an IT company here in town. So, Tim, with as many folks as we currently have working remotely, cybersecurity is a huge, huge issue. I see it on the insurance side, and obviously you are on the front lines of it. What are some things that business owners can do to help protect their information right now?
Well, thanks, John. It's typical that everybody has good security all the time. I mean, you need to have good security all the time. We now have sent a lot of people home, and because those people are working remotely, it doesn't mean that your security is going to be it's going to be less secure. It's actually just as secure as. You getting the feedback, or is it just me? You can make it just as secure as if they're in the office. However, I think a lot of companies now need to look at their remote policies. What we had to kind of quick and dirty get everybody set up remotely, but you need to look at long term. I'm going to have some of my people working remotely more than they used to. So we need to start protecting their home computer. We need to start doing things that now it's an extension of your office. It can't just be that everybody's in the office and a few of your sales guys are on the road. Now you need to be able to plan for anybody in my company. What does it need to look like them working remotely, and get all that set up so the next time we have something like this, then it would be very easy for them to work from home. I think a number of companies might actually decide certain people can work from home from now on. And so that's going to be something else that we're going to have to look at. But talk to your IT guys. We'd love to help you out with that. And we'll set you up securely and remotely. And we can make it just as secure as if you're in the office. Thanks.
Awesome. Good to know. Thanks, Tim. Next here, we've got Austin Jacks. Austin, I'm sure, has been busy. He's with Security Financial Management in the financial world, and I'm sure he's fielding a lot of questions and dealing with a lot of people. So one question we have for him, and this is fairly open there, but what's the best thing people can be looking for or doing right now in the market, Austin?
So the best thing people can do is try to manage their emotions, John. Oftentimes in market turmoil, people go with their gut feeling of, oh, I should sell right now, move the cash, move the safety, and that's the opposite of what you want to do. The best thing to do is try to stay in the market, maintain a long-term focus, and allow the market to rebound, because historically it has. A caveat to that, and the second that would be, if you have additional cash on the sideline, it is a great time to purchase securities, because they are selling and valued at a much lower price than they were a month and a half ago. So managing your emotions, staying invested, and investing additionally, we feel will really put people in a good position long term.
Yeah, that's well said there, Austin. That's something that probably, managing your emotions, that can probably go into a bunch of different aspects of everybody's lives right now, because I know things are a little crazy, not just in that world, but home life and everything else. So it's probably a good thing to think about in general. But appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, next we've got Mr. Romeo Salvani. Romeo is with ADP, and they got a lot going on right now too. And the question for Romeo is, human capital management is huge right now. It's a big, I don't want to say buzzword, but it's a big thing that companies are looking at. What's the biggest shift that you see this having on employees, this whole situation moving forward?
Thanks, John. I'm going to piggyback a little bit off of Austin and Tim here. So from an employee standpoint, continuing to manage your emotions going through, times of turmoil is critical. And like Tim said, one of the biggest shifts we're seeing is how people are going to return to work. And what I mean by that is 4 weeks into stay-at-home orders, making remote work a more permanent option for certain roles in certain industries. Right. And what that's causing for a lot of financial leaders is to reevaluate their P&L, find money in their budgets to support technology and really process automation, and take in consideration the safety of social distancing with employees. So a lot of our clients are going through those thought processes today, and we'll help them navigate a lot of those complex situations.
Yep. That's awesome. Appreciate that, Romeo. So a couple more folks here we're going to hear from next. I'm happy to introduce Kimberly Haas. Kimberly is with Baxter Restoration here in Orlando. And being in the restoration world, in your industry, a lot of companies have shifted some of their focus and added COVID cleanup because you guys kind of already have the resources to do so. You deal with mold on a regular basis, so you've got the ability to do that. What types of businesses are having this done? I know that sounds kind of weird, but meaning, is everybody getting their office cleaned? Is it just people that are essential? What are you guys seeing?
Yeah, so it's a good question, John. Baxter is a restoration and cleaning company. We typically don't do just cleaning as a standalone service, but based on what the customers are asking us to do, we are able to go out and just clean buildings to, for prevention or for, a confirmed case. But we've done a lot of variety of different businesses. So from anything from a warehouse to a church to a lot of commercial office complexes are, while their employees are working remote, they're having us come in and, get it clean for the day everybody goes back. But, we're seeing it all over the place. And we're just really happy that we're, a company that can kind of help, keep everybody safe and, have that day when everybody goes back to work and have peace of mind.
Yeah, you guys are definitely helping out in that regard. I see a lot of it all over social media and everywhere. So appreciate that. All right. So next we've got Carlos Keeling. Carlos is the owner of Verona, which is a digital marketing, web design firm. And what we're going to ask Carlos is, what is the best thing you can encourage businesses to do right now from a branding perspective?
Well, from a branding perspective, just as Alan mentioned earlier, this is a time where you don't want to hold back on advertising or representing your company. So the best recommendation right now is to take advantage of putting yourself in the shoes of everyone else and trying to find different ways to be available to them. Meaning, giving you an example, like Tesla, they pivoted. Them as, building cars and solar roofs and et cetera. But now they, when this event happened, decided to start creating building out ventilators. You got insurance companies turning to recognize that people aren't on the roads anymore and they got all this excess cash. Let's give it back to the people. Finding different ways to just come out and do things for people is what's going to help out right today for your branding for the future, because right now people are going through so many different emotions and managing those and how they're going to get their companies running. What people are going to remember are those who are doing things today to try to help move us forward. And when the time does come, it's going to impact them and their business so much better, because they're going to say, you know what, when times were rough, this is what they were doing. They were finding different ways to help. And so absolutely, I'm going to at least give them my ear and see if I can, do business with them in the future.
Yeah, that's well said. Appreciate that. All right, our last question for today is for Garen Sprov. Garen is the owner of Clean Slate Janitorial. And Garen, we've got kind of a general question for you, just and we've got a whole bunch of business owners that we've talked to today, but what I wanted to ask you was, what advice would you give another small business owner right now?
Oh my God. In a time like this, I want everyone to know you're normal. You're okay. Life is about a whole host of different experiences. We have tests and we have pre-tests. For those who've been down this road before, this is your test. Remember the things that you've prepared for, the things that you've planned for. And for those, if this is your first time going through something like this, look at this as your pre-test for something greater down the road. Every one of us knew once we got into business that it was going to be difficult. So this is the norm. You're okay. And that's the main thing that I would like to share with people.
Yeah, that's awesome, Garen. We appreciate that. So thank you. That's all the questions we have for today. Appreciate everybody that tuned in and watched this. If you've got any questions or want to talk to any of us about anything that we do or just in general, reach out. Any one of us has the contact info for everyone. So appreciate it, and we'll see you guys soon.